What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate reverse rants, no hate. So listen, I want to give y'all the undefeated male fighters. Of course, who no longer fight. Retired fighters. Jim Barry. This guy was 60 and 0, 10 knockouts. Wow, this was 1894 to 1919. Long time ago. Okay, some of these names I'm gonna screw up. I know, because I don't even know how to pronounce some of these names. They're foreign to me. And Joe Kawasaki was 46 and 0. Okay, of course he was British. Kim Ji-won was 16 and 0. I think he was Korean. Anyway, Mi Hao Lu was 28 and 0. Ricardo Lopez, 51 and 0, one draw. Of course, Rocky Marciano, 49 and 0. Terry Marsh, a British fighter, 26 and 0. He was a lightweight. Floyd Mayweather, of course, 50 and 0. Jack McAuliffe, 35 and 0, one draw. He was a lightweight. Stephen Otke, I don't know, super middleweight, 34 and 0. Dmitry Pirog was 20 and 0. He's a middleweight. Harry Simon was 31 and 0, middleweight. Pechit Sitban Bang Porachan. I know I messed that name up. He was 24 and 0. He was a flyweight. Edwin Valero, 27 and 0. Andre Ward, 32 and 0. Now, pause. Now, let me give you some records of fighters who most of us know nothing of and don't know about. Which is why I say, when these guys are talking about fighters, now the funny thing is, what I'm reading is labeled fighters with more impressive records than Floyd Mayweather. Well, they're more impressive than Marciano, more impressive than Roberto Duran, more impressive than anybody, for that matter. But it's funny how they labeled that. Now, here was a guy. Let me see. What was this guy's record? Here's a guy. The most pro fights on record is 470 by a lightweight named Lynn Wickwar. Okay? He's 17 in October 1928. Again, 17, right? And then you have fighters where people are saying, like Canelo and Floyd, oh, but Canelo was only 20, 22. Floyd won his title at 21, 22. Wilfred Benitez was 17. So this guy in 1928 was 17. One is he knocked out Jim Young, Shepherdson. Over the next 12 years, he stepped into the ring for an average of 40 fights a year. Do you hear this? 40 fights a year. Guys wasn't superhuman. They were fighting who was there. And a lot of people don't use common sense. But the funny thing about it is, even the boxing historians don't talk about these guys. Okay, 470 fights this guy had. Okay, yeah. I'm trying to get through this quickly. Let me see. Most professional defeats. Wow. What's his name? Although Italian American, Joe Grimm is rumored to have had more than 300 fights, the vast majority of which were defeats. Here's a guy who had 17 wins, 33 losses, and 6 knockouts. This is crazy. I'm just looking at these records, and I just think it's amazing, man, how somebody, for all, like, these are things that we don't even talk about. Okay, yet Grimm's record pales in comparison to some modern day fighters like Peter Buckley, who won his 300th fight and retired with a record of, there must be a misprint. It says won his 300th fight and retired with a record of 32 wins. Wow. Yeah. Well, had his 300th fight, but it said who won his 300th fight. Okay, so he won his 300th fight, not that he won 300. Okay. So this dude record was 32 wins, 256 losses with 12 knockouts. Yeah, you heard me right. 32 wins, 256 losses with 12 knockouts. Who is still active with the record of 12 wins, 238 losses, 7 knockouts. This is crazy. All-time biggest loser is Reggie Strickland. Retired in 2005. After 18 years as a pro, he had 363 fights, 276 fights of which he lost. He would often lose a fight, then he's back in the ring within days to lose another. On a few occasions, he had 9 fights in a single month. Wow. That's a bad list to be on, man. Okay, let me see. At 6'6", Potawatomi giant. Okay. Oh, Jess Willard. Okay. Was the tallest fighter to win the world title from 1915 up until 6'7" Vitaly Klitschko. Okay, I get that. I never. All right. Not too much of that going on. Pause. Okay. The longest fight on record was fought between lightweights Andy Bowen and the Texan Jack Burke in New Orleans in April 1893. Now, the word says the fight dragged on. All right, it dragged on for 110 rounds and more than 7 hours. As the fight continued into the early hours of the morning, Burke broke both of his hands and wrists. Now, a lot of people would be thinking, man, these guys are superhuman. It don't take, okay, a long fight to break your hand, break your wrist. And when people tell stories, they try to tell it like it's a Marvel Avengers movie. That fight, the majority of those rounds was a lot of this and nothing being thrown. 7 hours. Did y'all hear that? 7 hours. I mean, come on. It shows you it was not really coordinated, right? It wasn't a coordinated fight. It was, I mean, a lot of no real common sense. I mean, for this fight to even be talked about, I don't think nobody I know, I wouldn't want to sit down and try to watch this whole fight from beginning to end. And I remember what clips they just even watching all of this here and just dancing around and nothing going on. We'd be stupid to think that somebody for 7 fucking hours could jump around and fight and have a slugfest for 7 hours, all right? But just one of those things where I'm just looking up some of these things and these records and, you know, Guinness World Records lists the greatest number of rounds as 276 rounds in a fight between Jack Jones and Pasty Tunney in Cheshire, England in 1825. The fight lasted 4.5 hours. Okay. 276 rounds. You know, again, another something where, you know, people are like, oh, but these guys are superhumans, and like, stop. Okay, I was about to say pause, but no. Okay, let me just say this about a lot of these records and things, man. I don't like to shit on people. I don't like to try to, you know, take accomplishments away from people. Um, I just like to be realistic and let's make sense of the situations. Like, you know how when you watch Jim Brown play football back in those days, where it was all arm tackles, there was no Steve Atwaters, no Ronnie Lott, no Lester Hayes, no Dennis Stearns, nobody coming out putting hits on you. It was just all arm tackles and grabs. Um, it was a different time, man. The game was not as developed then as it is now. Okay, it's just like if you listen to rap music in the beginning, it was really simple ABC lyrics. You know, hey, it's a good day. Hear what I say. Hey, I want to play. Like, you know, it was real simple ABC like a kid could write. And then through time, the lyrics got more complex. You know, you saw the skill, the double and triple entendres, and all of the, you know what I mean? How they switch hits, switch the flows up and all. And I mean, all of these things that the game it developed. Okay, same with basketball, everything, boxing. Boxing is the one sport though that people try to keep the old names in the position of like they were unbeatable. Nobody could beat these guys, even though they had losses. And so basically, well, the only people that could beat them were the people that did. Nobody from this generation would, and there was this and there was that. It's easy to say that shit, but even the way we train, the technology, the machines, you know, I train way different from what I used to. I'm in the best shape of my fucking life. Like, I mean, endurance, stamina, all of that. Um, Things are supposed to elevate. I mean, if the game of boxing is going backwards, if football and basketball are going backwards, then why would anybody want to waste their time and stay tuned? You know, so it's not about just saying things that's not true, but at the same time, a lot of people do that, or they say things that they cannot prove. You know, we can all say we think this guy would beat that guy, or I don't think this guy would beat this guy. I mean, even for the heavyweights, they were a bit small back then, 180 something, 190 something pounds. Um, but regardless to who people like, it's not about. It's like I said, I like certain fighters a great deal. Like I like that guy's a fighter, and certain fighters, I don't feel they could beat certain fighters, but I like them better as fighters. I like them better. I like there's something they people have a certain appeal about their style and how they, you know, like I said before, Kevin Pompey is one of them. Prince Charles Williams is another one. Terry Norris was that guy. Um, but that doesn't mean, you know, like every fighter that you like, people have this childishness about themselves. If they like a fighter, that's because he's just better than everybody. He's the absolute best. Nobody can beat this guy. And when he loses, excuses. They can't just say, hey, he lost. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I'm not a robot. I don't like who everybody else like for the same reasons. I don't believe in the politically correct answer. There is no politically correct answer. You know, it's like you ask who's the greatest of all time. I don't even care about all that greatest of all time shit. But like, um, I tell people, don't say Ray Robinson if you've never seen him fight. Don't say Sugar Ray Leonard or Marvin Hagler. Don't say anybody if you haven't seen them fight. Don't say Muhammad Ali. Don't say what you think the popular answer is. Say what you think based on what you see. Okay? Because at the end of the day, that's one of the reasons why a lot of people lose interest in things. Because it becomes robotic. Oh, you're not supposed to say anybody could beat Ray Robinson. You're not supposed to say somebody would have beat this guy, that guy. You can't say that. Like, what do you mean? And the whole thing is, just because, you know, we say you think a guy would have beat another guy, that doesn't mean that he would have beat him. Doesn't mean he wasn't. We'll never know. But a lot of people will say things based on what they think others want them to say. And that's really stupid. I'm not going to do that. That's foolish. I'm going to say what I feel. But at the end of the day, it's just opinions, man. You know, what we can't prove, no need to dwell on and try to, you know, argue about it. Like people love to say facts. I know for a fact. You don't know shit. You know what you think. And that's really as far as we can go with that. So when we got a guy that had, you know, 400 plus fights and nobody's talking about him, you know, I did a video on a guy named Buck Smith. You know, again, no, I don't see him as pound for pound a great fighter. I don't see him, you know, as an all-time great. His work hustle, his work ethic. You know, the fights that he piled up and won, and the fact that the man went in with no experience, not one amateur fight, stepped in as a pro, and was able to win over 100 something fights, man. That's crazy. That's incredible, man. Regardless to he didn't reach the pinnacle, but I give people credit where it's due. And as undeveloped the game as undeveloped as the game was, and it grew, you know, um, you gotta understand, like again, you see guys fighting like this and going in circles and just certain guys, just certain things you see and you realize they don't have the ability to do certain things. But because guys are standing and slug and bang and both of them all swollen up, yeah, those guys are warriors and they're gladiators. You know, we're in an era now where that's all people want to see: slugfest and blood. They don't respect the boxing skills a lot of times. But yeah, so I just wanted to dig into some old stuff. I didn't really want to talk about the stuff that we really knew already. Just kind of some things that people overlook. Different records that people have that, certain fights. I mean, for somebody to have over 400 and something fights and nobody knows who the hell that person is, um, I mean, what could we say? What can we say, man? And at the end of the day, when you look at history of boxing from way back, like, I forget the guy that dropped Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson, when he was heavyweight champ, he fought a guy. I think they had the guy listed at 5'6" or something like that, 5'5" or 5'6". He used to wear platform shoes to be taller. He was only 155 pounds. And in that fight, he dropped Jack Johnson. Dropped him. Bam! Caught him with a shot. Bam! Dropped him. Jack Johnson got up, literally ran across the ring, literally jumped in the air throwing punches. Like, I mean, that's what it was at the time. You know what I mean? But he got dropped by, you know, uh, uh, um, you could say a junior middleweight, 155-pound guy. Now, if we seen a heavyweight get dropped, like if we seen, Errol Spence, you know, drop, Tyson Fury, people would be like, oh, this guy got a glass jaw. He got dropped by a junior middleweight, And like, again, it's not to shit on anybody, but it happened. And like it didn't, it happened, you know. Um, and we give praise to a lot of older fighters just because they're from back in the day. But if you really break everybody's record down and look at their wins and losses and who's who, you'd see there's no such thing I mean, everybody has had somebody, even Floyd, 50-0, but you have people that don't like some of his choices of opponents. Everybody has faced criticism at some point in their career. Every fighter. So even when I remember when Ray Robinson fought, when he went up to light heavyweight, forget the guy, is it Max Baer? And he basically punched himself out and was exhausted. And I'm like, think for people, that was some gladiator shit. Why didn't he pace himself? Why didn't he work off his jab, his movement? Because the guy couldn't touch him. He was beating the guy's ass. He's out pointing him. His punches wasn't hurting the guy though. The guy was just walking through him. But he had to quit. It was too hot. He was exhausted. They literally was carrying him like he was like, you know what I'm saying? Now he's doing the damage, but the guy that he's hitting, he's walking around on his own. So me pace myself, discipline, all that's a part of the game. And like I said, it's not the shit on him. It's not the shit on anybody. But it's like, where was the discipline? Let me jab and box. Let me use my skills. Let me move. You're hitting this guy, and he's not going anywhere, right? And you just punch yourself out, And of course, yeah, it was known. Like, hey, man, the guy's trying, but damn, it's not working. Pace yourself. Change your strategy. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is, man. Anyway, I like doing stuff like this, man. Going through these different times and fighting and looking at the history of who did what. At the end of the day, though, when you start to really break down who did what, the time he did it, the opponents that he did it against, you're always gonna have people with different opinions. I'm not really concerned about a person's opinion, but I do look at what's what, who's who, what, when, where, and how. We look at all of that, and you break down who did what. You come up with your own assessments, and I don't do any of this with any bias. I don't do it with who I wanted. And, it's not about that, man. You ask me, and I'll always tell you, Kevin Pompey is a guy. I love watching him fight. He was a solid guy. So is Prince Charles Williams. Neither one of these guys are pound for pound great fighters. They are not all-time greats. So if I was biased, I'd be putting them in there saying, "Oh no, man, it was way better than people give them credit for." They were solid fighters, but they just couldn't. They couldn't win the big ones. They couldn't win those big ones, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Um, Terry Norris, of course, he did win big ones, and Terry was a great fighter. He's not in that list of, he's all-time great. Terry Norris is, yes, I do think Terry Norris is an all-time great, but Kevin Pompey, Prince Charles Williams, no. You know, um, I like watching Emmanuel Augustus fight. He was very entertaining. He's very entertaining. Do I see him as an all-time great? No, no. When you've been in the sport long enough and didn't achieve the things that you wanted to, yeah, they call you a journeyman. And when you're losing, even if you lose close fights, but you can't, get the big one, they call you a journeyman. But there's several fighters that they didn't call a journeyman that were journeymen. But because, people liked them, they didn't call them that. And in reality, if you look at a lot of guys who, you know, not that they wasn't good fighters, but they never really achieved that. They're not multiple champions. Someone was never a champion, but they were in great fights. They were in tough, fights, and you know, even in a losing effort, they were able to keep the fans, into what they was doing. So we all know, like, if you was a Tuesday night fighter and you never made it to HBO or Showtime, then you definitely wasn't a part of the elite, And you got some fighters who were like, that's all you saw them on is like, Tuesday night fights. And even before that, just, fighters in general. Like I said in the last video, there was a lot of fighters that historians even always say that they were great fighters that weren't even champions, but they were great fighters, you know. So as far as picking and choosing based on who you like, it's different. When you pick and choose based on who beat who, the accomplishments, the work ethic, all of those things, they add up to something, man. And for us to just look at a fighter and say, I don't like that guy, so therefore he's not good, no, can't. That doesn't make any sense, not at all. Like I tell you a guy who I thought was okay, was Iran Barkley. And there's people that's like, Iran Barkley was, oh man, that guy was, the Beast Mugabe was another guy. I thought he was good, but nothing special. There's several fighters. Ken Norton's another one. And I'm not shitting on these guys like, oh, he wasn't, no. I just didn't see them the way everybody else did. It's like, there's a lot of them. But then there's also guys that I feel like was overlooked. And so these type of things, when you're looking up who did what and you get the records of these guys, for a guy to have over 400 and something fights and nobody knows who the hell he is, his name never even comes up, and the guy was 17 when he started. So imagine how now we're sitting here crying about somebody being too young to fight a certain guy, and then all of a sudden you got guys like him and guys like Wilfredo Benitez who were only 17, and a lot of these guys, same way. If they win, nobody's, saying they were too young. But when they lose, it is what it is, man. Boxing's a gladiator sport. I mean, to me, the beauty of boxing is the different styles. If everybody just stood there and stood in one spot and just, tucked their head down and just started throwing rights and lefts, it wouldn't be much. I mean, how could you call that boxing? You know what I'm saying? So I like the variations, the brawlers, the boxers, the different matchups. But anyway, that's all I'm going to say on this video. I will catch y'all on the next one.